The stars above Mars glowed like cold fire, distant and silent. The planet's surface was a stretch of red dust and jagged rock, untouched for centuries, except for the small team huddled in the shadow of a forgotten crater. Dr. Ilara Vance wiped her helmet visor with a gloved hand, squinting through the dust storm. Her suit's internal systems buzzed softly in her ears, tracking oxygen levels and seismic activity. But none of that mattered now. She and her team had uncovered something impossible. A structure, ancient, buried under meters of stone and time, hummed beneath their boots. It wasn't made by human hands. Smooth black alloy curved into geometric patterns, unlike anything they'd seen on Earth or in any known records. A doorway stood open, leading into darkness. "Are we recording?" Ilara asked, her voice calm but taut with excitement. "Live feed transmitting to base," replied Mikhail, the mission's comms specialist. "We're making history." They stepped inside. The walls pulsed with faint blue light, reacting to their presence. Symbols, neither human nor known alien, flickered and reformed on the walls, like the machine was trying to understand them. At the center of the chamber, suspended in a pillar of faint energy, floated an orb the size of a melon. It spun slowly, emitting a low hum that seemed to echo inside their minds. "Radiation levels stable," said Lee, the team's engineer. "It's alive, somehow. Processing data." Ilara stepped closer, drawn in. She reached out, slowly, cautiously. The moment her glove brushed the orb, the world changed. A pulse of light burst outward, not blinding, but full of color and meaning. Ilara's mind filled with images, star charts in strange constellations, diagrams of alien engines, cities floating in the skies of gas giants, and wars fought with energy that bent gravity like a toy. And then a whisper, not in sound, but in thought. "You are the forgotten children. You are the spark." She staggered back, gasping, but not from pain. Awe filled her chest like fire. The orb dimmed, but something had passed between them, something vast. Back on Earth, the data flooded in. It wasn't just alien, it was forbidden. The technology humanity had just discovered was known by some species in the galaxy, and feared. Graviton phase distortion, the power to bend space, warp time, and shatter the laws other civilizations carefully obeyed. But Earth didn't know that yet. Not fully. They only knew one thing. They had been ignored by the galaxy for too long. Now they had something no one else did. And that was about to change everything. 2 decades after Mars, Earth was no longer the same. Cities floated above oceans. Skyscrapers pierced the clouds, connected by glowing sky bridges. The air buzzed with invisible energy, GPD energy, the very force unlocked by the ancient Martian eye. Space travel, once limited to rockets and careful fuel calculations, now folded reality like paper. Humanity had leaped forward, not by centuries, but by millennia. But not everyone was pleased. From a sleek orbital station above Neptune, Commander Jalen Riss stood before a window, watching as the newest warship of the United Earth Navy glided into view. The UNS Atlas, a dark, jagged behemoth, shimmered with silver-blue GPD fields. It was built for defense, but everyone knew it could level a small moon if needed. "Looks like it eats stars for breakfast," muttered Lieutenant Kale, standing beside him. Riss didn't smile. "That's the idea." Reports were already coming in. Surveillance drones had spotted cloaked ships, alien ones, lurking near the outer solar system. Data leaks from Earth's intelligence agency, ONYX, confirmed what many feared. The Galactic Concord was watching and worried. Once, humans had begged for attention, asked politely to join the galactic community. They had sent messages, probes, and ambassadors. No one had answered. Now, humans didn't need permission. They had power. In a darkened ONYX control room beneath Geneva, Director Vera Sen adjusted her neural uplink and scanned a live data stream. Alien signatures matched known Concorde reconnaissance patterns. One scout vessel had attempted to cloak near Luna's orbit, destroyed in less than a second by a defense AI nicknamed Cinder. No warning, no response. "Message from the Concorde?" she asked. "None," her aide replied, still pretending we're beneath their notice. Vira smiled coldly. "Let them pretend." Elsewhere, on the diplomatic moon of Solaris, a place humans had never been invited, a quiet meeting turned chaotic. A Concorde elder pounded one of his 7 fists against a polished table of starwood. "They were primitives 20 years ago," he roared. "Now they fly through folded space like gods." A younger delegate, a crystalline being named Jura, flickered nervously. "We should reach out. Diplomacy maybe." They found GPD. They broke the balance. If they share that tech with other tier worlds. The room fell silent. That was the true fear. Not what humans had done, but what they might inspire. If other low-tier species rose like humanity had, the carefully controlled order of the galaxy would crack. Back on Earth, in a quiet field outside New Berlin, Ilara Vance stood beneath the stars once more. Older now, wiser, but her eyes burned with the same fire. "They thought we were nothing," she whispered. The wind stirred the grass around her, rustling softly. "Now they watch us with fear." She looked up at the night sky, where the stars no longer seemed so far away. "Let them." The massive halls of the Concorde Capital Station thrummed with energy. The room was a testament to the grandeur of the galaxy's ancient powers. Walls made of crystal so polished they reflected the light of distant suns, floating platforms that moved with a soundless grace. Yet, beneath all this beauty, there was a palpable tension, like the hum of a live wire just waiting to snap. Humanity was here, not as guests, but as equals, or so they would prove. Ambassador Rhea Voss stood at the center of the Grand Assembly Room, her eyes scanning the vast hall. At her side was her team. Military advisors, diplomats, and scientists. Behind them, an imposing silhouette. The UNS Atlas loomed through the transparent walls, floating serenely in the void. Rhea took a slow breath. The Concorde had never seen a ship like the Atlas. Not even their warlords, with their multi-millennium-old designs, could match its power. The very thought of humanity wielding such technology made them uneasy. She could feel it, the quiet scrutiny of hundreds of alien eyes. "Ready, Ambassador?" Michael, her comms officer, whispered through the earpiece. "Let's begin," Rhea said, stepping forward. The council chamber fell silent as Rhea approached the central podium, her posture firm but welcoming. The Concorde representatives, 5 of them, sat on elevated thrones, each a different species, their faces unreadable. "Greetings, esteemed delegates," Rhea began, her voice clear but steady. "I am Ambassador Rhea Voss of the United Earth Nations. We have come not as conquerors, but as partners. Let us speak of what lies ahead, of cooperation, of mutual understanding." One of the Concorde leaders, a tall being with flowing, silver tendrils that glistened under the artificial light, raised a hand. His voice resonated like wind through a cavern. "Humanity," he said, his eyes narrowing slightly. "You demand to be heard after centuries of silence. We have no need for your kind's chaotic presence." Rhea's gaze did not waver. She had heard these words before. She wasn't intimidated. She smiled, a cool, knowing smile. "Perhaps," she replied, "you've forgotten the meaning of strength. Humanity isn't here to beg for a place at your table. We're here because the galaxy is changing, and you know it. We didn't need your permission to discover graviton phase distortion. We didn't need your approval to rise. But now the question is, will you stand with us, or will you stand against us?" A ripple of unease moved through the Concorde representatives, though they masked it quickly. The one sitting at the farthest throne, a being with a translucent body that shimmered like liquid glass, spoke next, his voice smooth and unsettling. "Do not mistake our hesitation for weakness. "Ambassador," he said, "the Concord has ruled for millennia, and we will not be dictated to by the likes of you. Your rise, as quick as it was, could be your undoing. You have uncovered something dangerous." Rhea's expression hardened. "So did you," she shot back, the words laced with steel. "And now, the galaxy's most advanced empires tremble because of what humanity has done. But we're not here to threaten. We're here to offer something you've long lost. Choice." A long pause. The tension in the room thickened like the still air before a storm. Then the silver tendril Concord leader leaned forward, his voice softer, almost curious. "Choice," he echoed, studying her. "A dangerous proposition. Perhaps we will hear you, Ambassador Voss. For now." Rhea nodded, a small victory flickering in her eyes. The game had begun. The air on the mining world of Varela was thick with dust, a choking gray fog that swallowed every breath. The planet was barren, scarred by constant drilling, its surface pocked with craters, its skies perpetually darkened by the smog of industry. It was a world of hard labor, where the Concord's rule was unchallenged, and where those deemed inferior by the galactic overlords had no voice. Until now. In the heart of the Virellan mining colony, an underground gathering of workers, once silent and broken, stood on the edge of rebellion. Hidden beneath the metal and stone of the sprawling compound, in a dim-lit room, a figure cloaked in ragged fabric stood at the center. His voice, hoarse but burning with passion, echoed off the walls. "Brothers and sisters," he shouted, his fist raised. "The Concord thought we were nothing, like dirt beneath their boots. But what if we could rise? What if we could stand up and show them all, that we are more than what they've made us?" A cheer rose from the crowd, ragged and raw, but full of fire. The man, Lorian Rax, had once been a miner, just another face in the sea of laborers. But now, under the weight of years of oppression, he had become their symbol of hope. And today, the world would change. Above the colony, hidden in the storm clouds, a fleet of ships lay in wait. Onelix, the human intelligence network, had found them. Ships, black as the void, hovered just beyond the atmosphere, cloaked and silent, ready to unleash humanity's first act of defiance in the Concord's backyard. A message had been sent. "We will fight for your freedom, if you will fight for your own." Lorian looked out over the workers, men and women, young and old, their faces worn but determined. "We don't need the Concord," he said, his voice ringing out like a bell. "They've taken everything from us, but they can't take our will. We fight now, not just for ourselves, but for every world under their heel." From above, the first strike came. At precisely the moment Lorian's words reached their peak, the sky above Varela lit up with fire and light. Humanity's fleet, now fully revealed, descended from the clouds in a fury of speed and precision. Shuttles broke through the atmosphere, unloading human forces and equipment with terrifying efficiency. Lorian's voice grew louder as the first explosions rocked the mining facility. "This is our moment. This is the start of something bigger than us." The Concord, taken by surprise, scrambled to respond. Their defenses were overwhelmed. The colony's commanders, alien and human collaborators alike, tried to rally their forces, but the rebellion had already spread like wildfire. In the mining tunnels, workers grabbed weapons, long forgotten from earlier uprisings, and flooded the compound. There was no retreat, no hesitation. And then the message went out, across the galaxy, to every corner where the Concord held sway, a simple signal broadcast from the heart of the rebellion. "We are the spark. Join us." Lorian stood on the surface of Varela, staring out at the chaos unfolding. The fire of the rebellion had been lit. He had no illusions of what would come next. The Concord would retaliate. They would strike with everything they had. But for the first time in his life, Lorian felt something else. Hope. And it burned brighter than ever. The war had become more than just a fight for survival. It had turned into a contest for the soul of the galaxy. Humanity, once a mere blip on the galactic radar, was now the lightning rod of the universe. Every victory, every battle, was broadcast across 1,000 alien worlds. The message was clear. Humanity would no longer be ignored. On the capital station of Zarian, the heart of the Concord, a group of diplomats and military leaders sat in a sleek, dimly lit chamber. They watched with growing frustration as images from the front lines flashed across the giant display screen. Rebel victories, human soldiers rallying once enslaved alien species to their cause. Ships and fleets commanded by humans, armed with technology no one in the galaxy had seen before. Technology the Concord had long feared. Are we losing control? A Concord general hissed, his multiple eyes narrowing in frustration. How did it come to this? An advisor, his voice shaky, responded, "Their victories. They're broadcasting them. Humanity's battles, their victories, their ideals. It's spreading faster than we can contain. It's not just a war anymore. It's a movement." The general's fists slammed against the table. This is not a war of fleets. This is a war of optics. The advisor nodded, sweat beading on his forehead. Yes, it's the human message that's destroying us. They're showing the galaxy a new way, a way that appeals to the oppressed, to the outcasts, to those who have suffered under our rule for eons. And the rebels, they're winning hearts and minds. The images on the screen flickered, switching to footage of a human-led operation on the gas giant Nexus, a planet once considered beyond reach for any lower-tier species. Rebel ships, painted in the human Navy's sleek, unmistakable design, were seen rescuing refugees from collapsing colonies, bringing them to human-protected worlds. On the ground, a human soldier, his face smeared with ash, held out his hand to a child of the Velari, a species long considered subjugated by the Concord. The child grasped his hand and smiled. The shot cut to a vast crowd of aliens on Calderon Station, chanting in unison, "We are the spark. Humanity is our light. Everywhere we go, they spread this hope," the general muttered. "It's not just power or war they bring. It's belief." Meanwhile, on Earth, the weight of this war hung heavy on the shoulders of Ambassador Riavos. She stood before a crowd of reporters, the news feeds across the galaxy now showing her as both a beacon of humanity's strength and the face of its controversial rise. "We are not conquerors," she said, her voice clear and strong. "We are liberators. We've seen what the Concord does to those it deems unworthy. We will not stand by and let the galaxy suffer any longer. It's time for new voices. It's time for new choices." The reporters clung to every word, their eyes burning with the same curiosity that had led to the fall of the Concord's silence. But there were still those who feared humanity's ascent, still those who viewed them as a threat to the galaxy's fragile peace. And soon, the Concord would strike back. But for now, the war was about more than who held the stars. It was about who controlled the story, and the humans were winning the narrative. The Concord had underestimated humanity. For centuries, they had crushed rebellions, silenced uprisings, and quelled the dreams of the oppressed with the force of their advanced technology. They believed the galaxy's fragile peace could be maintained by their iron grip. But now, that grip was loosening, and the cracks were widening. On the fringes of the galaxy, deep within the unseen expanse, a rebel fleet, comprised of humans and their newfound allies, gathered in the shadow of a dying star. It was a secret meeting place, far from prying eyes, and yet the weight of what was about to unfold hung heavy in the cold silence of space. Ambassador Riavos stood at the helm of the flagship, her gaze fixed on the holographic map before her. The rebel fleet had grown. Once a ragtag collection of desperate outcasts, it was now a force to be reckoned with. Ships from across the galaxy, from species once bound by fear, now flew under the human banner, united by one common cause: the fall of the Concord. "Is everything in place?" Ria's voice was steady, but there was a fire beneath it, a determination that had not been there when she had first arrived at the Concorde's table. "We're ready," said Captain Kel Soren, the grizzled commander of the UNS Atlas. "The Concorde's fleet is still focused on the capital. The outer sectors are vulnerable. We hit them fast, and we hit them hard. They won't see us coming." "Then it's time," Rhea said, her hand clenched at her side. She turned to her crew, all eyes fixed on her now. "This is it. This is the moment we've been waiting for. The galaxy will know that the Concorde is no longer invincible. They will learn what happens when they push too far, what happens when they forget us." Kale gave a single nod and issued the order. The fleet surged forward, a cascade of ships cutting through the dark expanse like a blade through night. The hum of the engines vibrated through the floor of the ship as they accelerated toward the Echelon Relay, a critical communications hub used by the Concorde to coordinate their fleets across the galaxy. Without it, their forces would be fragmented, their strength shattered. The relay sat in orbit around a barren world, a cold monument to the Concorde's grip on the galaxy. It was a station built to intimidate, designed to send a message to anyone who dared challenge their supremacy. But today, it would be the symbol of their downfall. Rhea stood in the control room of the flagship, her eyes locked on the swirling lights of the relay station on the view screen. The moment was upon them. "Target locked." Cal's voice rang out. "We have one shot at this." Rhea's heart raced, but her voice was calm. "Take the shot." The massive cannon aboard the UNS Atlas fired, a beam of concentrated energy cutting through space like a spear. The relay station exploded in a burst of light and fire, its hulking mass disintegrating under the might of humanity's weapon. A shockwave rippled through the surrounding ships, but they held firm, moving in unison as they set course for their next target. In the wake of the destruction, Rhea knew that this victory, small as it seemed, would send a message to the galaxy. The Concorde was not invincible. Humanity had brought down one of their greatest strongholds, and the stars, once ruled by the Concorde, now burned with a new possibility. The galaxy had been watching, and now, they knew, humanity was a force to be reckoned with. The universe held its breath. The fall of the Echelon Relay had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The Concorde, its greatest tool for maintaining order, was now a smoldering wreck in the cold void. Across the stars, rebel fleets, human and alien, cheered in triumph. But deep in the heart of the Concorde, behind gilded walls and fortified stations, a storm was brewing. Ambassador Rhea Voss stood on the command deck of the UNS Atlas, staring at the holographic display. The map was no longer just a tool of navigation. It was a battlefield, a chessboard with far too many pieces in play. Humanity had broken the first barrier, yes, but Rhea knew that the real test was coming. The Concorde would not simply fold. They would retaliate with everything they had. "Their fleet's massing," said Captain Kel Soren, his voice low and tense. "We've riled the beast. The Concorde's top admirals are organizing a counteroffensive. They'll come at us hard. It's only a matter of time." Rhea's jaw tightened. The victory at the Echelon Relay had been a bold strike, but now they were on the precipice of something much larger. She glanced at the view screen, where the stars stretched into infinity. It was a vast, silent battlefield, one that would soon echo with the sounds of war. "We're ready," Rhea said, her voice unwavering. "We've got the support. The Concorde can't afford to stretch their forces any thinner. We take the fight to them." "Impossible," came a voice from behind her. It was Jalen Voss, her brother, once a civilian researcher and now a tactical advisor to the human resistance. "Their new fleet, the Sovereign Armada, is on the move. If we engage them head-on, we'll lose our entire fleet. They've got technology we haven't even seen yet." Rhea turned, her face set. "We've already won every battle they've underestimated us in. We're not backing down now. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about the galaxy, every world that's been crushed under their rule." Jalen's expression softened, but his concern remained. I know what's at stake, but if we don't plan this carefully, we risk everything." Rhea stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You've always been the strategist, Jalin. Help me make sure we don't make the same mistake they did, underestimating us." Jalin nodded, a flicker of resolve in his eyes. "All right, let's make sure we hit them where it hurts. We take out their leadership first. Without their generals, their fleets are just ships, no direction." They turned to the battle map, Kel stepping forward with a grim expression. "We're going to need more than just strategy. We're going to need all the firepower we can get." Rhea's gaze locked onto the map. The Sovereign Armada was already moving into position, massive ships, sleek and angular, designed to strike fast and hard. It was clear that the Concord had no intention of letting humanity's rise go unchecked. But there was a glimmer of hope in the chaos, a weakness. The Sovereign fleet, while formidable, had one blind spot: its reliance on a single central command station. "That's where we hit," Rhea said, her finger tracing a path on the map. "We strike directly at their command center. If we take that out, their entire operation will collapse." The crew exchanged uneasy glances, but Cale spoke up first, a grin tugging at his lips. "A direct assault on their command. Sounds like my kind of fight." "We can do this," Rhea said, her voice filled with a quiet certainty. "Humanity doesn't just survive. We conquer." The room erupted with determination as the crew prepared for the upcoming battle. The stakes were higher than ever, and the galaxy would be watching. This wasn't just a war for survival. It was a war for the future of every world, every species that had been oppressed by the Concord's iron rule. And Rhea knew one thing: humanity was ready. The final battle had come. The Sovereign Armada hovered just beyond the edge of the Trillion Nebula, a cloud of gas and dust swirling like a cosmic storm. It was here that the fate of the galaxy would be decided. The fleet, an overwhelming force of advanced warships, glimmered ominously in the cold void. At the heart of the Armada was the Nexus Command, a massive space station bristling with weapons and fortified by the finest technology the Concord had ever created. Rhea Voss stood at the center of the UNS Atlas, the flagship of the human-led fleet. Her eyes were fixed on the stars ahead, where the Concord's might waited. The tension in the command room was palpable. Every officer, every soldier, knew the magnitude of what they were about to face. They were not just fighting for humanity's survival anymore. This battle would decide the future of the entire galaxy. "Status report," Rhea said, her voice steady. "Fleet is in position." Captain Kel Soren replied, his tone sharp. "We've got support from the Allied forces. The Velori and Typharans are standing by. The Concord won't know what hit them." Rhea nodded, a flicker of pride passing through her. Humanity had sparked something across the galaxy, a fire of rebellion that now burned in the hearts of thousands of species, united in their desire to break free from the Concord's iron grip. But there was no time to dwell on that now. "Prepare the launch sequence," Rhea ordered. "We go in fast. We hit their command center. Nothing else matters." As the fleet moved toward the Nexus Command, Rhea could feel the weight of every decision that had led them to this moment. The echelon relay, the uprisings, the battles fought, the countless lives lost. It had all led to this. The Concord had underestimated humanity, but now they would learn what it meant to face an adversary who was willing to fight for something greater than themselves. Kel's voice broke through her thoughts. "We're in range. Incoming fire from the enemy fleet." "Return fire," Rhea said, her voice unwavering. "All ships, follow my lead. We're going straight for the Nexus. No hesitation." The battlefield erupted into chaos as energy blasts from the Concord ships lit up the void. Human ships, sleek and agile, danced between the firestorms, their weapons cutting through the darkness with deadly precision. The Atlas surged forward, its engines roaring as it broke through the first line of defense. But the real challenge awaited at the heart of the enemy fleet. The Nexus Command loomed large ahead, its surface crackling with energy shields. Rhea's pulse quickened as she saw the station's massive turrets swivel toward them, preparing to fire. The human fleet was outnumbered, but the element of surprise was on their side. "This is it," Rhea murmured, her eyes never leaving the target. "We make history today." The UNS Atlas broke through the final defense, its hull shimmering with the energy shields taking the brunt of the Concorde's weapons. The crew held their breath as they moved into position. The station's core, the heart of the Sovereign Armada, was within striking distance. "Firing on my mark," Cale said, his fingers hovering over the controls. Rhea's voice rang out clear and strong. "Now." The massive weapon aboard the Atlas fired, a brilliant beam of energy ripping through the space between them. It struck the Nexus command with a deafening roar, tearing through the shields and into the heart of the station. For a moment, there was nothing but light, blinding and all-consuming. Then, silence. The Nexus command crumbled, its once impenetrable defenses shattered. The heart of the Concorde's fleet was no more. Rhea closed her eyes, her breath catching. It was over. The war, the struggle, the uncertainty, all of it. Humanity had struck the final blow. As the wreckage of the Nexus command drifted into the dark expanse, Rhea felt the weight of the moment settle into her chest. The galaxy was free. Humanity had won. The stars burned a little brighter that day.